Hey guys, today I'm going to do the Fatwah mod for the Dunlop Crybaby GCB 95. This sucker is elusive. I couldn't find anything on the internet. If I did, it came from DIYstompboxes.org, I think it was. That website no longer exists. I had to find it on the Wayback Machine, Stone Age website. Anyhow, I did a few modifications to that schematic just to make me happy, and I'm going to do this right along with you guys. So what you see is what you get, and hopefully if I make a mistake, you learn from it, and I will leave all those mistakes in so you can. All right, let's dive in. This is the PCB board of the 95. Yours may look a little bit different. There's a red capacitor up there. Mine actually doesn't have that. Mine's a resistor, which I did a prior mod to, but that's beside the point. Here, let me put the component labels up here. And go ahead and take a screenshot of this because it'll be just forever useful to know the names of these as you go through different modifications on different websites. You'll find your way around, make it a lot easier. But for this mod, we'll be focusing over here in this section, tapping into the 4.7 UF capacitor of the active filter section labeled C9 and the 10K resistor labeled R14 found in the input buffer section. And as I said earlier, it was tough to find any information on this mod, but the most promising was found at DIYguitarist.com. I believe I misspoke earlier, but that schematic was created by Paul Marassi in 2005. But Paul actually unearthed the original schematic, which was created by yet another Paul by the name of Paul Crowther of Crowther Audio that was posted years before that. I didn't even find Crowther's schematic until much later, so this mod is all based off of the Marassi schematic that I found on the Wayback Machine. This is the schematic with no mod included, and then here it is with it included. Per the schematic, a total of 4 components are being added, including the switch. I am going to add an additional 2 as I'm removing 2 from the main board stock and relocating them onto a daughter card. We'll get more into that later. Thankfully, Marassi posted a ton of photographs showing exactly how he put this together. Personally, I didn't like the way it looked. To me, it looked like a wadded up ball of bubble gum or a really, really evil game of Twister. Way more evil. So I decided to take the mod off the stock board and put it onto an expansion card. I would also relocate R14 and C9 onto that expansion card. I bought a PCB board off of Amazon for about $5. What you want to do is lay it inside your Crybaby and draw a line where you're going to size your cut and then make your best estimate on where you're going to drill your hole. I take it back. I'll show you a more precise method in a minute. I probably brought a bazooka to a knife fight here. You could probably use a Dremel or even a box cutter even and snap it, but this seemed to work. It was a high numbered tooth non-ferrous blade, cut right through like butter. Nice cut, and I was happy with it. Then you want to find yourself some paint or nail polish, anything, and to just dab the end of that screw right there. Then take your PCB, place it over the top. It'll transfer the center mark where you want to make your drill hole. And use a clamp here to hold down your board. I look like a monkey trying to get this through here. I just wanted to get it done. I got it done with no injury, but there's a high probability that that you might. You'll be very lucky if it fits right in there. I ran into a little trouble there. I made a mark where I needed to trim down the corner of the board. I used a Dremel and just ground off that corner. Very easy. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses. It will throw debris everywhere. This is the hardware I used to mount the PC board to the wah-wah pedal. A couple of rubber washers to isolate contact and a nut. Just going to test fit this. Looks like a good fit, so we can start the mod. The first thing we're going to do is relocate R14 in the far left by desoldering it off the main board, and then we're going to relocate it onto the expansion board. This is a 10K resistor. I just replaced it with a brand new one with full legs, easier to work with rather than reuse the old one. Flip the board over, desolder it. Just stick tweezers under there and pry it up. It should come up pretty easy if you get all the solder off the back side of it. Now this is really embarrassing. I had that cellophane on around the PCB the entire time with my light shining down on it, and I really couldn't tell what side was the contact. So when I ripped it off, I just had it in my mind that it was on one side, and I burned the front of it. So I made the mistake so you don't have to. Solder the contacts, not the front of the board. Okay, now we're going to incorporate the 330K resistor. This is a new element. Should go on just like this. Stab that sucker right into my embarrassing burn spot. It's okay. I forgive myself. I'm sure you won't in the comments. As I said, there was very little information on this mod, and you'll find on YouTube a few people who have done it, and I don't know where they got that information from, but what they do show is just a shadowy cam videotaping of what they did after it's already done, and I'm kind of doing the opposite here. You might find it redundant or annoying, but it will speed up as we go. I just wanted to do the opposite to what I found. Okay, now we're going to incorporate the 10 UF capacitor. Okay, now we add the 100K resistor. That's going to branch over to what will become our ground strip on the far left side. Okay, now we're going to relocate the 4.6 UF capacitor C9, desolder it off of the main board, and relocate it onto the expansion board. The right leg is going to be our positive. This bag tells you absolutely nothing. And when you put these capacitors in, keep in mind how tall they stand. So don't push it all the way down with it standing straight up and solder it in, because it may touch the top of the, or actually the bottom of the Crybaby housing. Switch installation here. That contact on the switch is not attached directly to the board. Imagine a wire there. I like to stab the wire through the back and then flip it over so I can find where my hole is much easier. Now we're not going to actually solder the wires to the switch just yet. Just the wires to the board and then leave them dangling for a while. We have cable management to take care of first. Now what you're going to see here is I add a jumper so I can bring my positive side, which is on the right, over to the left side because I wanted my wires to be close together. But this isn't completely necessary. In actuality, the board has 2 runners on the left side. So what you could have done was the 4.6 UF capacitor, the positive leg, rather than take it to the far right, you could have located it more to the left side and mounted that positive leg into the additional left side runner, not the ground runner, but the positive one that should have nothing in it just yet. In just a minute, you'll see the actual PCB board and the unused runner on the left side. That's the one I'm talking about. A total of 3 wires connect this expansion card to the main board, 2 positives, and a ground. There's 2 ground locations from the 2 components that you removed. There's this one here, but the schematic says to connect at the other location here. I didn't do that in this video, but this is where I ultimately ended up. I'm beginning my cable management now, sizing my wires, and I decided to braid the 3 main power wires. Throughout this process, I occasionally check to make sure that it still fits. There's no contacts touching. I put a couple pieces of shrink tubing on here. That's how it should look. I'm kind of just staging it now. Those are my 3 solder locations. Time to get the switch wired up. You may have noticed my inductor was missing through this process. I'm replacing it with a Whipple inductor from dandyjob.com. These are just awesome, to say the least. Head on over to dandyjob.com and not only is there a how-to on to install it like I'm doing right here, but lots of upgrades for wah-wah pedals. I was touching right there. Now I'm adding Gorilla Tape on the back of this, but one thing that I didn't do in this video was the PCB board actually came with a piece of plexiglass exactly the same size. If you drill through that hole through both pieces, you can use that piece of plexiglass as an insulator for the bottom. I ended up doing that. I'm installing a DuPont connector here, and I did another stupid thing. I soldered it in the wrong way. It needs to go between two separate contacts. I was looking at it wrong again. So that's what you're seeing here. This connector is for my Dead Astronaut Effects bottom plate, LED plate. You'll see that at the end, it light up. I'll put a link to Dead Astronaut Effects in the comments. Please forgive my terrible guitar playing. Need practice. Need more room. More foot room. So at the end of the day, this diagram right here is probably what's going to help you the most. You just have a look at this, double check it, and I know that my example playing wasn't the best, but if you're anything like me, you're going to read about this elusive fatwa, and it's going to get built up in your head so big and legendary that it really doesn't even matter. and I am very excited about it. I love the sound of it on. I love the difference. So if so many people were doing this mod without ever even hearing it to begin with, I can only imagine hearing my crappy playing will enhance that experience. So if this helped you out, give me a like. I'd appreciate it. And let me know in the comments. I expect the positive, the negative, all of it. Just let me hear what you think. And have a great day.